Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Angie Whitfield, and I'm the CEO here at the Burnaby Board of Trade. And before we begin, I would just like to take a minute to recognize that we are on the traditional homelands of the Hakamelam and Sahamish-speaking people, and we extend their gratitude for the opportunity to hold this webinar on their lands today. This webinar is part of our Center for Business and Workforce Development program, and we have two sponsors that make this work possible, and that is the BCIT School of Business and Media and Electronic Arts. Now, today's event is all about AI and its general impact on how it affects business and workforce. The challenges, ethical concerns, and more. Certainly a hot topic that is changing rapidly, so no doubt this will be a great conversation. This webinar is going to be moderated by Jahan Ghaemi, who I'm going to introduce in a minute, and he will then introduce our panel of experts. So Jahan is with Microage Canada, helping small businesses and owners protect their data at the office and home on their network. Over 20 years experience, he specializes in designing redundant, secure networks. Originally from Iran, he embarked on an adventurous journey to Canada, passing through Germany, India, and the United States along the way. In his free time, I hear that he likes to hike the Grouse Grind. Okay, Jahan, I will hand it over to you. Oh, sorry, but before I do that, I skipped over a very important part, our annual partners. So we have two sponsors for our workforce, but we also have a whole host of annual partners that's going to be up here on the screen. So these business leaders in our community help support us throughout the year as annual partners. So take a good look, notice who they are. They're making a big impact in the Burnaby Board of Trade and with all of our businesses. Okay, with that now, I will hand it over to Jahan.
Thank you, Angie. Absolutely, sponsors are amazing as get our businesses going where we need to. Now, my name is Jahan Ghaemi, and one of the things I do for my clients often ask, what do you do, Jahan? So I'm looking at the pain in technology we look at with Microage and our team to remove the pain. Now, how do we do that? And what are some of the tools? As we go through, we'll talk more about AI and as a tool. But before we do, I want to introduce our wonderful panelist here. I'm going to start with the person with the most amount of experience here, George Pytlik. Please introduce yourself and let us know about yourself.
Well, thanks, Jahan. I'm George Pytlik, and I am one of the most experienced web designers in North America. I designed my first website 6 months after Time Magazine created its now famous cover announcing the World Wide Web. So it's been a long time. I've designed websites for major companies, including London Drugs, Credit Union Central, Chevron, and others. And my focus now is helping small and medium-sized businesses to create a much more powerful brand presence through extraordinary websites.
Amazing. Thank you, George. Next, I'd like to introduce Sajad with BSUPERIOR. Please introduce yourself and what you guys do.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Sajad Seifian. I'm the founder and business development manager for BSuite 365 and BSUPERIOR System. We provide companies with simplifying business processes and automating them through platforms of Microsoft and custom solutions. And often we work with companies across Canada and United States for the last 14 years.
Amazing. Thank you. Amir is with Artintech, and it's got a slew of information. We're going to talk about robots with him, but later. I'll let him introduce himself and what he does with Artintech.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, John. My name is Amir. I'm a co-founder of a couple of companies. One is Artintech, where we produce probably proudly one of the best Canadian ERP systems for SMEs. And we help businesses to streamline their processes from quality management to maintenance management, supply chain management, production, workplace safety, all the things that small, medium manufacturing companies and industrial units would need. I'm also co-founder of Viva Robotics, where we are bringing in robots to the factories of Canada. So mixed wave. So I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Amazing. And we're going to round it off with Ali. It's amazing what you do, and we're going to finish up with you, but we'll start with you when we start with questions. Go ahead, Ali.
Sounds good. Hey guys, awesome. Thanks everybody for joining. My name is Abassi. I'm an AI engineer. I work at a company called Blind AI. It's one of the fastest growing AI startups that's focused on voice tech. But other than that, I build AI agents for a living that help businesses accomplish things with LLMs. So yeah, very excited about this talk here.
Amazing, Ali. So I'm going to start with you, actually. My first question, like I say, before I dive in more to this, I want to respect and honor the spirit of the meeting. So I do have prepared questions, but if things may switch and we'll dive into that. My first question for you, Ali, is what are the biggest ways AI is already changing how businesses operate, especially the ones that have storefront and, of course, others that are virtual? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say the biggest, most impactful thing that's being used today is using AI just as a co-pilot for your day-to-day activities. So you have access to an expert agent, and just using ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever model you're using now. Especially these state-of-the-art models, they have the ability to think deeply. They have the ability to do deep research. So as an individual business owner, getting the answer to what you need can happen significantly faster. Making better decisions is significantly easier. There's no barriers here at this point. It's not a language barrier. It's not a technical barrier. You're just using natural voice to get effective answers. So that would be the way that it's impacting business today in most use cases.
That's great. That's great. So one of the things I want to, for the folks, some folks are not very familiar. So when you say co-pilot, those kind of thing, Gemini. So maybe can you a little bit elaborate different technologies,
Yeah,
and then
for
we can go.
sure. Sorry, I didn't mean Copilot in the sense of the tech. I
Yeah,
meant in the
yeah.
you have access to a helpful agent for day-to-day activities and questions that you do have. The most common one that most people would know would be ChatGPT. And using ChatGPT, whether it's the free version or the paid version, gives you access to almost all of the world's knowledge, all of the world's public knowledge at your fingertips. So that would be the core tech of
Wonderful.
LLMs
Wonderful.
that most people would have access to.
Thanks, Ali. So let me move to Sajad. Can you talk about what we talk about, the biggest ways AI is already changing how businesses operate, especially when ones have storefront? So some of the things I'm going to say we've seen a lot of automated bubble tea discussions that's coming up, right? So that's an example. But can you talk about just people that already have storefronts, have been running businesses? How can they take advantage of that and some other things that AI is already making some changes?
There's lots of ways that AI can help, especially now, and it's more accessible to small businesses too. For example, AI scheduling for staff scheduling, using past data and previous data. It can help the store manager to schedule the staff that they have for the month or the weeks that they have in front of them, for email automation, and also for inventory management. The ordering of what inventory they have available, how much inventory they're going to need. Even if you go further, customer behavior, analyzing the purchases. There's tools that can be used with cameras that can analyze how customers, when they walk into the store, they behave, how they look at the materials and all that. And based on that, they can make decisions of what inventory to have, how many staff to have in place, and basically help them increase sales.
Wonderful. I think that goes into well to Amir with the warehouse. So I'm going to bring on that to you, Amir. What can you add to that discussion, Amir?
Well, John, when we're talking about AI, in my opinion, we are talking about three types of AI. One is the ChatGPT type of AI that is helping us to understand the world around us and save us time. And it's like having a consultant by your side or a secretary by your side, right? But there are two other types of AI already mentioned by other members. One is AI agents who can actually perform tasks on the computers for you, like checking your emails for purchase orders or sending out purchase orders, submitting invoices, and entering the data into your database or ERP system. So this is an agentic kind of thing. I would imagine that this technology, which is now being matured, being developed in a way, and it's going to be matured in a couple of years, is the one that is going to replace all of your office staff, administrative staff that you have. And then we are also dealing with physical AI, similar to robots, drones, humanoids, autonomous vehicles, and stuff like that. So that will replace your line workers. And we are seeing it right now. We are importing robots, and we also having ERP systems. So we kind of see both type of technologies developing very fast, and we are getting a huge excitement from industry side, and everybody's looking for these kind of technologies because they are huge cost savers, and basically business owners, industry owners are really interested in having these kind of technologies in place.
Thank you, Amir. Now, I'm going to round this discussion for this first question with George. George, what are your thoughts on the biggest ways AI is already changing how businesses operate, especially with their website, considering what you do for storefront, the people that have businesses that have storefront and the ones that are virtual?
Yeah, AI has been transformational in so many ways. For websites, one of the most impactful things that's been happening is that people are more and more relying on AI answers for their searches rather than doing a traditional web search. So that's impacting the number of people that might see your website, because now they're just getting an answer from AI to their query, and it may not involve your website at all. It's not going to be just a list of websites, it's a list of answers to the query. So if you don't structure your website properly, it's going to disappear from the landscape. And another issue that's come up quite frequently is people are using AI to write their website copy because it's so easy. It just feels so easy to put in a query, and all of a sudden all this what looks like great copy comes up. But what they don't realize is that websites with AI generated text on the site, if your website is AI generated, Google is actually going to delist you, and Google delisted 79,000 websites at the end of last year for that reason, because the content was AI generated, and they're not interested in that. They want human generated material to present to people when they do show actual website information. So a lot of business owners don't realize that that's a trap they can fall into.
Such an important point there, of course, coming with your experience. As talking about web 1.0, web 2.0, things are changing and adjusting. I'm going to come back to Ali for my second question. How do you see AI impacting customer experience and services in both physical and digital businesses? I would love to see what you're talking about, especially with your voice.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. The question is, how do you see AI impacting customer experience and service in both physical and digital businesses?
Okay, so I think this one is a really big one, because I think in the near future, customer experience is going to be a single point. Now, what I mean by that is you're going to be able to email, text message, or call a business, and they'll have a memory of who you are. This will be generally an AI agent that recognizes all of your past conversations with that business, and they'll be able to share sales information, customer service, and so on. There's no hold times. There's no I'll transfer you to an agent. It's going to be an all-knowing agent that has access to all of the information you have with that business. But on the business's standpoint, it'll also have preferences, and it'll simplify that marketing process. So yeah, I think it's going to enhance significantly. In the future, when you're buying something from, let's say, Lululemon, you could just text message Lululemon, and you'll have an AI agent that will send you recommendations, manage your returns, and things like that. And this technology is becoming more accessible every day at this point. I would say this is probably like a 3 to 6 months away.
Wow, yeah, and cross-platform access as well. So one of the things often I talk about is Jahan has 3 rules of computing. You've probably heard of those. You talk about backup, 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 and I can imagine all of these data, where they're being backed up, and kind of create a spaghetti of if I want to restore data, where it's going to be. Well, that's a side note, but I wanted to bring it up for George. George, how do you see AI impacting customer experience and service in both physical and digital businesses?
Well, one way that I'm excited about is the potential for AI agents on a website to have not only your voice, but your image. Like imagine you're a small business and your personality is part of your brand, and now the AI agent that's interacting with the potential customer is now looks like you and sounds like you, and even has your inflections. That would be really amazing. And I can't wait for that to become a reality. We have some privacy issues that we're, of course, working through because that can be abused. But I think they'll be worked out.
Definitely, I think with North America at least is talking about privacy, a little bit more business friendly in that sense for Europeans. I like the privacy that they have, but I can imagine with GDPR and all the discussion around privacy, we can create a chaos with that. But it's really good discussion to have people, Board of Trade, like wonderful Burnaby Board of Trade, have that brought up with the MPs and discuss, where is our privacy? Thank you for bringing that up, George. Next, I want to bring that up to Amir. How do you see AI impacting customer experience and services in physical and digital businesses?
Well, imagine all of the point of contacts that businesses have with customers. Where are they? In the after sales service, during the sales process, during the operations when you're using a product, a service. So in all of those touch points, AI can at least facilitate these user experiences, right? Improve and facilitate these user experiences. It's very annoying when you call a call center and a robot picks up right now, but I'm sure it's gonna be indistinguishable from human agents, right? When you're trying to learn to use a product, an AI agent would be an amazing asset by your side to help you use that product instead of reading the manuals, imagine, right? Or finding your answer in the help section of a website. Or when you're buying a product, again, Amazon today or yesterday announced that they're implementing a new AI that helps people find their products using prompts instead of keywords, right? So in all the touch points that we have with clients, I can imagine AI being a big assistant.
Absolutely, the experience. When going from, like, say, Lululemon, so I want to try out something from store to actually buying it. You may not buy it from the store, right? You go and see and touch it, and then to have the AI say, "Oh, I have this product. Give me more research." So that's becomes from being online to actual store and to buying it. So it's a mix, right? Like Ali said, it's all going to come part of one structure. It's not going to be just one or the other. So coming to you, Sajid, what do you think? How do you see AI impacting customer experience and services in physical and digital businesses?
Ali, George, and Amir, they all touch based on that, but I think especially for small businesses, because large companies, they have the resources, the tools, the policies, the templates, everything to enforce onto their staff, so they have a mutual language and a procedure for customer experience, where small businesses don't have the resources, the time, the training to provide to the staff, where AI can help develop those policies, enforce those policies, and help with a mutual or a templated language where the business desires for their customer experience, so that it helps the staff to provide that.
Excellent. And I have a question here from Wendy. Will AI share your client's data to third party? Very good question, Wendy. in fact, today was talking about AI is announcing so many things. Something called MCP, Context Protocol, is becoming a standard. OpenAI has announced, so it can look at business data. So AI can look at your client data. Now, how is it going to, as far as privacy and share data with other, the resources, right? So we talk about, okay, for ease of access, we need data to shared to between multiple businesses. So how do we control that? I don't think at this age there is any policies or procedures other than access. Does anyone know about anything about the third-party data access for AI? Do we want to speak to that before I move on to the next question?
Well, I would like to address that's an area that I'm very deeply concerned about, the protection of your intellectual property. For example, I have a client, I look after his website. He writes very detailed blogs, very specialized information every week, and hundreds of articles that, he's a bit late to the party now to block it, but AI has been scraping his website. And of course, when the answers get given out, he doesn't get credit for it. ChatGPT does put, these little notations that if you click on it, you can find out where the information came from, but most people don't click on it. So he's losing the value that's built into his business through that. So we are now putting into place the ways to block AI. And it's not just necessarily the robot file on a website, because that doesn't necessarily get respected. But there's other ways to do it, to block the scraping of intellectual property, so that you still have something valuable to sell. I think that's a big issue.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, go ahead, Amir.
Jahan, I wanted to add something to George's answer here. There are two levels of concerns when it comes to data protection in AI. One is national level. So Western companies cannot afford to be too tight in the regulations when it comes to training their AI engines, because then they're afraid of losing out to the Chinese and other countries when it comes to AI technology. So that's one big concern that is being talked about everywhere. The other thing is, at the company level, if you close up your content too much, then you have competitors who would be easily found on AI if AI is taking place of search engines in helping people to find the content that they want. So there's now the challenge is how to create that balance, that you are not invisible to AI, but at the same time you protect your content. And I can imagine this is a very difficult balance to find, and it's going to be a challenge, especially for people who are more dealing with content as a value that they're creating. So that's going to be a difficult question to answer.
Well, talk about policies. Yeah. Anyone else?
From customer data perspective, especially for business processes, there's ways to set up private server LLM servers and training agents of open source AIs that can be established where the data completely stays private and managed by the business. Using standard tools like ChatGPT and all those, they're using their own service, or you're actually sharing your data with their service. But when you set up your own private LLM server, you can have we're actually working on projects like this for Canadian financial businesses where they can't share their client information, and the information can't leave Canada, so they have to stay in a Canadian server. So there's ways to do that and keep the information private and still train an agent, an AI, to do that business process.
Wonderful. That leads to my other question. Like I said, things are kind of flow. Are there any AI-related policies or trends specific to Canada that businesses should be aware of? So, Sajad, I'll bring it up to you again. You mentioned financial, right? For financial companies, that's critical for data to make sure it stays in Canada. So other than what you mentioned, are there any other policies that you can think of?
Based on our experience, well, there's HIPAA and PIPA where you have, regarding health, patient information, and also in the financial industry, there's regulation for financial companies to keep the data private or within Canada borders. But there's business policy and procedures too that may be the enforcement of keeping the information private. It really depends of what sort of data we're talking about, even customer information, what type of customer information we're dealing with, and how much of it is really private or public.
Absolutely, and often I'll use the example of backups. We think about actual data, and then backup. We just don't think about it. But oftentimes backups actually happen in the U.S. and other locations. So then there needs to be a discussion of where do we house all the data, including the backups. Now I'll bring this on a question for Amir as well, talking about policies, because that's what you deal with, a lot of stuff, right? Policies and procedures. As far as in Canada, what do you see? What businesses should be aware of when we're talking about AI?
Well, again, I think when it comes to policies, we need to make sure that we are not compromising on the privacy of our clients, of the information that should not be shared at any cost. But at the same time, having loose enough flexibility in our policies to allow our companies compete with the companies in the countries that don't have strict policies, or with the companies that are not so strict in their policies. So finding a balance between control and flexibility is going to be at the center. Some of the information, no-brainer. We shouldn't allow anybody to access our clients' private information, like their transaction histories or personal information. But then there are areas like contents that could be a little bit in a gray area, or but then I think as technology goes ahead, because we have so many stakeholders in this game, so I think a good solution will emerge out of the interaction of so many stakeholders from all the countries that are facing the same problem. And this is not a problem that has been developed over years. This is kind of, compared to other problems that we have solved as a species so far, it's kind of an immediate need, and it needs I believe it needs international collaboration in understanding the challenge and finding a solution for the challenge between the policymakers, the universities, and the engineers. It's not something that only politicians can solve, or only engineers can solve, or only companies and business owners can solve. There should be a huge body of collaboration between all the parties.
Wonderful. I'm glad you bring that up, because one of the key things border trades across Canada do is help businesses advocate for them. So that's one of the things I can see, like Burnaby Border Trade can help with SFU, with BCIT, with UBC, and local government to push what we're talking about here, to make it easier policies and awareness. Part of that, what we're doing today is bringing awareness to businesses, what they can do. Now, I'm going to come to Ali for my next question. What skills should business owners and employees start learning today to prepare for AI-driven future? What do you suggest?
Yeah, I would say if they want to future-proof their business, it would make a lot of sense to just be in the know of what the current technology is. So kind of just be active using some of the tools. These things are moving at breakneck speed, so I don't think you need to become an expert on any of these topics unless you absolutely want to. But I would say have some familiarity with what's available today. For the most part, being in this industry day in, day out, some of the things that I'm seeing, people still don't even know are invented or exist. So I would just say have a general awareness of what's happening, and then generally use these tools like ChatGPT to kind of get a better understanding of how to drive them.
Absolutely, and I highly recommend people follow you, Ali. You have great videos on creating your own agent and so forth, and
Thanks.
yeah, so that's wonderful. Next, I'm going to bring this up to George. George, what skills would you think business owners, employees need to start learning today to prepare for AI?
Well, first and foremost, they need to become familiar with how to use AI and how to maximize the effectiveness of AI. You know, what kind of prompts are effective? What should you avoid? Big concern is the originality of content. And if you don't understand how to identify content that's original, and especially content that's accurate, because AI can hallucinate and it does so a surprising amount of the time, gives you false answers. You have to know how to fact check the results that you're getting. I'm helping a national organization with a major project where they're doing a lot of research, and we have to double check all the information that we're getting from AI, which is extensive and it's beautifully formatted, but you don't know if it's true. Air Canada last year got slapped on the wrist for using false information and they didn't know it was false. And in 2023, a New York law firm got sanctioned because they referred to a legal brief or in a legal brief to case studies that they got from AI that never actually existed. So that's a skill. You got to be able to understand how to use AI properly, use the prompts, and also how to fact check.
I'm glad you bring that up, hallucination, to a little bit expand on that. I'm going to ask Sajad to talk about that and AI and what he suggests, and I'll talk about a little bit of my experience with AI hallucination. Go ahead, Sajad. Oh, you're muted.
Can you repeat the question, John, please?
So what skills should business owners and employees start learning today, and specifically hallucination? What have you seen and experienced with the AI hallucination?
Well, yeah, I agree with Ali and George, and I think all businesses should push their employees to use AI, but very carefully. And that's where it comes like there's lots of talks about AI replacing humans, and that's at this stage, I think it's the experts using AI. So you have to be expert in your own field to use the AI and to help you speed up things. For example, we do a lot of programming. So within programming, when our developers use AI, it helps them with debugging, doing coding faster, but they have to know what they're doing. If a regular person try to do coding, they're going to end up with a lot of bugs, errors, and they won't get a right program. Even though the AI generates all the codes and stuff, it won't make any sense because it hallucinates. It doesn't consider all scenarios and situations. So experience has a huge factor here. So being experienced in the field that you are in, and then using AI just to enhance what you do and help you with time, that's probably the best.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the things Bill Gates recently announced, that in his opinion, there are only 3 jobs that are going to be critical: coder, right, a biologist, and skipped my mind the third one. But coming to you, Amir, talk about coders. You have a few coders, developers. What do you think? What do you think business owners, employees should be doing to learn about AI?
Look, a few years ago, I had a talk at an IEEE conference at Metropolitan University of Toronto. And I said, AI is very close and it's going to affect all of the jobs and we have to be extra careful. It was 2018. I guess not many people took me seriously until 2023. But look, when combined machines and tractors came to villages, it changed the population structure of almost every country, from around 80% being in the villages and 20% in the cities to 80% in the cities, 20% in the villages, right? So it took a lot of the jobs, but it doesn't mean that nobody lives in the villages anymore, right? Same thing with coders. It doesn't mean that we're not gonna need coders. it's just we're gonna need less coders, and the coders who are more familiar with coding tools are gonna have the highest chance of survival and then keeping their jobs. So, and the same goes with almost the rest of the jobs. In a call center that you have like 200, 300 employees, you might gonna end up needing like 20 employees. But those are the employees who can work with AI tools. Same in the factory floors, same in the offices, right? So, but there's no universal answer to that. Depending on which industry you're in which area of the industry you're in, you probably need to look into different tools. I have friends who are in construction and architecture. So they talk about AI tools that I've never heard of, even though I'm in technology development myself. And they're amazed by how those tools are making their jobs more efficient and fast. Designs being out instead of a year working on a design, they can now generate the design in a couple of days. So again, everybody should look into their own industry. But there's another problem about like hallucination and wrong referencing and stuff. I wouldn't be worried too much about that, because today's AI is much better than a couple of years ago in this problem. And I'm sure in a couple of years, we wouldn't have this problem at all. So that doesn't worry me that much. The thing that is necessary is that everybody starts looking into their own industry and which AI tools are being developed in that industry.
Thank you for that. One thing I want to highlight at this stage, AI doesn't know how to say, I don't know. So it thinks it has to give you an answer. An example with hallucination is I had asked AI to build a website for me, and it said, hey, it's ready. Go ahead. You can download it from OneDrive. And I said, wait a minute, how are you going to host it on OneDrive if you don't have access to internet, right? So that's hallucination. So it cannot say, I don't know. It doesn't have access to internet, so it can't relate not having access to internet to uploading OneDrive, right? So keep that in mind as you go through an understanding, wait a minute, AI at this stage is kind of like a baby trying to walk. Some of us have babies or grown-up babies. So we get to that structure as it's growing and accessing resources. Now I'm going to move on to the next question here is how can businesses ensure AI help build a stronger relationship with customers rather than just alienating them? I think, Ali, you touched on that. It's the future next 3 months, 4 months, like everything's going to be one point structure. So how do you see businesses they haven't touched AI, they can start doing this. So what can they do to get there, so that knowing that next 3 months other businesses going to have that capability, integration, all of those things? What do you suggest?
What can they do to be kind of first in place? Okay, so the first thing is, like, do they need to be first in place? Probably not. It might make sense to just wait a little bit and see how the chips fall here. But if they want to be ahead of the curve, specifically around customer engagement, I would say first identify the problems you're dealing with. Almost every business that I've ever worked with has one problem. They just don't get to the customer fast enough. And that's an easy solution for an AI agent. So whether that's as soon as you get a lead, have an AI agent do a quick call, would be a very simple solution here to enhance that experience, and just to reduce the level of churn that you're seeing. But yeah, my suggestion would be, like, identify the key areas of your business that are currently a struggle. The one that I mentioned is one that I've noticed almost every business. Lead comes in, employee doesn't contact them for 24 hours. In 24 hours, they make multiple decisions. If you could contact them in 1 minute, what would that do for your business? Quite a bit. So I would say start by identifying the key issues, and then build some level of automation with very simple tools to get to that user, whether it's a quick email or a quick phone call. In most cases, you probably don't even need AI here. You just need some sort of automation or process in place. AI is just a nice little cherry on top that would help enhance it a bit further.
I'm glad you made that comment there, Ali. Absolutely. One of the things is making automation fast enough as people come in and ask for help and resources and those kind of things. So I hope to see that for businesses when people come in to do that. So next, I'm going to ask George the same question. How can business ensure AI helps build stronger relationship with customers rather than alienating them?
Yeah, I'm so excited about how we have a tool now that we didn't have before. You used to have to pay consultants thousands of dollars for focus groups, things like that, to understand what your customers are thinking. Now AI can summarize in seconds. It's amazing. So just the other day, somebody sent me a whole bunch of technical PDFs, very detailed technical items. And I was able to pull them into ChatGPT and get it to summarize some key areas of customer pain points that are not currently being addressed by that website. And in seconds, it identified a whole bunch of issues that where we hadn't talked to the customer about potential pain points. That's so powerful. In seconds, we get stuff that used to take weeks or months. So fascinating.
Amazing. Talking about pain points. That's what we do with Microage. But talk about bragging for what we do. Thank you, George. That's key part of understanding. And one thing I want to highlight with the ChatGPT and any AI, you can prompt that to ask you questions. So often people are asking questions from AI, but you can go reverse and say, ChatGPT, ask me, be an interviewer with me. I'm going to do something, right? I'm looking for pain points for my clients. What are the top questions I should be asking? So that's something that I can mention that we could do, talking about how we can make the customer relationship better. So Amir, next to you, for you, how can businesses ensure AI helps build strong relationship with customers rather than alienating them?
Look, I guess I'm probably going to talk about the businesses like ours, where we have a product and then we are offering it to our customers. I guess AI should be an integrated part of the offering, right? So one thing that could be different from the time that you have to have people talking to people from your business is that you have something separate called product and then something separate called like customer service or salespeople or the support people. But then now with AI, you can have them both in one package and making AI as an integrated part of your product. So then AI is in touch with customer experience every day, every moment of that product being used, and can collect information, can interact with customers, understand customers way better, and then suggests improvements based on that, or makes improvements based on that, right? Depending on how autonomous you want your AI to be. But if you can make that happen, then you're eliminating the delays and misunderstandings and the latency between customers having an experience and you making an improvement on that, right? So that would be one way. But in all the rest of the areas, I think you need to find ways, and there are ways. I'm sure Ali, Sajad, they're already doing that. You have to help AI to better understand your products by providing it with good information. And then hopefully AI technology providers like OpenAI make the AI interaction more human-like, right? Turing test has, in some areas, become obsolete, kind of, right? And in some other areas, getting closer to be passed. But I'm sure it will be more and more difficult for customers to recognize if they're talking to human or AI. But the thing is how good the understanding of AI from on your product would be. So providing AI with good information about your. So to give you an example, we are trying an AI agent on our side, and we are providing AI agent with all kind of information about our product, right, to answer potential questions that customers have. But still, AI, when it doesn't have the information, starts to imagine things and giving the answer the way the best practice is instead of the way that the actual product is working, right? So the more information you can feed AI with, probably can make that interaction better.
Yeah, the one thing I've been testing Grok as well. I've noticed Grok actually does make a difference versus the open AI ChatGPT. So I would recommend testing those, your same prompts, Copilot, ChatGPT, Grok, see what respond. If you're starting, right? If you've never done this, you don't have a preferred AI tool, try those three. Coming back to Sajad, last question for you as well. How can businesses ensure AI help build strong relationship with customers?
Well, every business is unique, and they have processes that they build over the years that they've been in business that makes them unique to their customers and retains those customers or brings new customers in. Most often, those processes is in the brain of the founder, the owner, or the key staff, and they train the other staff based on that. A lot of times, the tools they've been using over the years, the process that they apply, it's been there and nobody knows how. It's not been documented. So documenting, it goes to what Ami just said, that, providing good information. You have to document all your processes. That's what makes your business unique. And having all those documentation will help you train the AI agent, or providing AI with the information it needs to maintain the integrity of your business process and what you build over the last whatever years you've been in business. So I think that's the first step.
Wonderful. I think we're getting close to time. I want to make sure we gather information for anyone who's new. I can imagine someone who's rarely used AI, they're overwhelmed. So if you're going to give top 3 things as someone who in business that is new to AI, what would be the top 3 things you would have that business do right now to get going with AI? I'll start with you, Ali, and what do you suggest?
Yeah, I would say the top things, if you're just starting with AI and you have like a general level of technical ability to utilize it effectively, I would say number 1, probably start with just ChatGPT. It's super simple to use. You could use voice mode in any language, so there's no barrier on that. The second thing is, I would say go ahead and try to start creating your first automation with your own tools. This can be something as simple as email comes in, use this tool to reply. A very basic platform you can do that with would be Zapier, or a tool that I really like is called Gumloop, which would be fantastic for this. So I would say number 1, start with ChatGPT, get your hands on the actual product, ask it questions, get some feedback there, use the voice mode. Number 2, create your first automation. And then number 3, if you really want to go in depth, I would say start to create a process for your business to evaluate the responses you're getting. Make sure that when an automation is run, you're able to track success, so you can start to learn how to debug these things and kind of get a better understanding of the inner workings of how you could really tune these things and drive them to give the performance you need.
I love that, Ali. Great advice. Now, to you, George, same question. What are top 3 things you would recommend people start if they haven't done it?
Yeah, the same that you said earlier. Try different types of AI. You have Copilot, you have ChatGPT, you have Perplexity is another good one. Try them out and just start with, if you've never used it, just start with some simple prompts and see what happens. Even try it for personal stuff. If you want to ask it to plan your vacation, and what sites would you want to visit in that particular location, and you'll be amazed at the quality of the answer that will come up, and you'll start to get a sense of the rhythm of it and what kind of answers it can provide you. And then ask the same prompts at each of the others and see if it comes out the same way or if there's differences, and you'll start to recognize how they differ and what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Brilliant. Thank you, George. Same question to you, Amir. What do you suggest for top 3 things?
Well, John, you're asking about 3 things, top 3 things. Number one, I would repeat Ali. Go to ChatGPT, learn how to work with it. And then number 2 and 3, ask ChatGPT what the number 2 and 3 are. So it's but end of the day, become friends with any of the AIs that you're using, Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, and then try to help them understand your business, and then ask for their help to get into that. Because sometimes we are trying to prioritize things, and then you talk to AI, best practice something else, and they give you better suggestions.
Absolutely. I love that you say have it to kind of interview you, reverse. And voice is great, like Ali said.
Yeah.
Try use voice. Now, we'll round it off with Sajad. Last question for you. What do you suggest?
The other day, one of my colleagues asked me, how much Google search do you do now these days? I hadn't thought about it, but I only use it now for only finding an address, or if I want to know there's a coffee shop or restaurant near me. Otherwise, the rest of my questions is asked from AI. I no longer go to Google and ask for different questions. What's the population of Vancouver or anything like that? I'll just ask it from AI. So start using ChatGPT. I think it's a good, simple tool to start from. Ask questions. Use it for brainstorming. Like you said, Jahan, let it ask you questions. It helps you, especially for business. It gets you thinking about whatever topic you're implementing. There's other tools that you can use for MVP. If you have ideas that before you go into a consultant, before you get into implementation, it's good to use those tools to have a visual of what you have in mind, and it helps you with your process and implementation.
Amazing. Thank you guys for your time. It was amazing to have you here.